Yo, what's going on? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. It means it's time for another live stream. Today is Thursday, March 7th, 2024. And today we have part 2 of the Mizuno unboxing. It turns out, after some clarification emails that went back and forth, I could show you what was in this box yesterday. It is a small box. It doesn't look like shoes fit in here, but yet there is shoes in here. Plus, I also took the Wave Rebellion Pro 2 for a 22-mile run today. And if you guys have any questions, we could talk about that as well. But first, let's say hi to everyone listening on the podcast on the audio-only version. I'm running a little bit late in terms of getting the episodes up. So I don't know what the weather's going to be like when you're listening to this. Hopefully it's nice. It was pretty good for my run today. It started out a little bit cold, but ended really nicely. So hopefully you get the same thing too. And for those of you guys watching later but not live, you know what? I think more and more people are starting to tune into this on the bike trainer. So I mean, this might be the best thing to watch while you're on the bike trainer, other than maybe Netflix. Do people watch Netflix? I watch Netflix when I'm on the treadmill. Do people watch Netflix when they're on the bike trainer? I watch Netflix when I'm on the bike trainer too. I have Zwift on my phone, and then on an iPad, I'll have Netflix. Just using up all the internet. So, but either way, if you're on the bike trainer, logging in some miles, maybe you're cross training, maybe you're getting ready for a triathlon, or maybe you just like cycling. Either way, welcome. You're in the right spot. Although we probably won't talk very much about cycling today. Although, if you guys want to talk about that new helmet, we can talk about that new helmet. You guys know what I'm talking about. All right. Let's see what we got here in the chat. JC says, I watch YouTube vids on the bike trainer. Yeah, okay. There you go. And Leona says, this is the best live stream to watch while writing bills. Oh, there you go. There you go. But that makes me feel bad, though, because then on the other end of that, someone's going to be like, oh, man, I got to pay all this. And that I'm attached to that, I guess, a little bit, you know? Yeah. Vanessa Martinez says, I watch YouTube on the treadmill. Yeah, I watch YouTube a lot, too. You know what I like to watch on the treadmill? If I'm watching YouTube on the treadmill, usually I watch Netflix on the treadmill. But if I'm watching YouTube, it's usually if I have a workout on the treadmill, then I'll usually watch like Sweat Elite or something with like where other pro athletes are doing a workout. Just that way I don't feel like I'm by myself running hard. If someone else is running hard that I could watch, you know, that helps me, you know. Kenneth Fapp is attempting to watch New Balance Nationals live in one window and this live stream at the same time. Oh, there you go. Is that going on right now? It must be if you're watching both at the same time. Cosmic Pine Michael says, I love the new cycling time trial helmet. Have you guys seen the new cycling time trial helmet that I'm talking about? It's a yellow one. It's gigantic. I think what they're trying to do with that helmet is make it so that way the air goes from your head and doesn't hit your shoulders hard. So like it flares out really big. And just to me, it looks like a Spaceballs helmet. And that's all I can see when I see it. I know it's a different color, it's yellow and stuff, but all I see is Spaceballs. It's impossible to breathe under this thing. Yeah. So that's what I think about when I think about that new cycling helmet. Is that going to be legal? Are there rules against that kind of thing? Is there rules about how weird your helmet can be? I mean, at what point do they make the helmet like extend over the handlebars so that way you're just like a bubble going through space? Can they do that? Is that allowed? I don't know. Andrew Scott says, is the helmet like the Juggernaut? Yeah, I think so. And Frank Lahuli says, there was some discussion about the aero tape that Kipchoge had on his legs for Tokyo. He did have that special tape on, didn't he? Is that available anywhere? Or is that just something that they make for him? How did they make that? Is that a KT tape thing or a Nike product? I don't know. Richard Wilson thinks that there will be a new rule about that helmet. UCI is looking at it. I'm assuming that's a governing body. Interesting. JC says, remember the Schwartz? That was such a good movie. I think about that movie probably once a week. No lie. It comes up. It always comes up. Usually a lot of times with my kids when they say they're feeling like they're going to barf in the car. And I say, no, you're not. This is a Mercedes. Even though we don't have a Mercedes and they don't get the joke. But no, not barf. Barf, that's my name. I'm half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend. Anybody? All right. Adam says about that helmet. I mean, we were doing a lot of cycling talk today. The yellow one is from Visma Lisa Bike. A few other teams have similar. It's legal, but UCI is considering a ban. They just banned the neck snoot. Is that something? Is that a neck snoot? Is that like what what is it, GP motorcyclists have? The little thing on the back, so that way it's more aero from the back of their helmet to their spine. Is that it? Interesting. Mark Peterson is combing the desert. Have you found anything yet? Just the giant combs. The giant combs. I feel like what's that race that everyone runs in San Francisco and they do it as a team and you wear weird costumes? You know, a lot of people that run it naked too, like that one. I feel like if you ran as a couple of space balls with a giant comb, that would be pretty amazing. Maybe we should do that. Maybe that could be a Kofuzi Run Club thing. Adam says that thing he's talking about is it's like a balaclava. It's meant to improve airflow in the front. Oh, that was banned? Interesting. And everyone says that weird race I'm talking about is beta breakers. All right, we need to do beta breakers as Spaceballs with a giant comb. You guys, see, this is the right group. Everyone here, I mentioned Spaceballs once, and it's been a river of quotes from the movie. This has made my day, which is good because I'm pretty tired after the long run this morning. And I just coincidentally posted the Metaspeed Edge versus Metaspeed Sky video. And people are not arguing with me. People are putting in very thoughtful comments that disagree with me. And I'm just like, I'm too tired for this. I can't do this today. Because whenever I'm tired and I answer comments, I always feel like I'm being attacked. I perceive that. I know I'm not. People are just writing their opinions, and that's fine. And that's how discourse works. And sometimes I get snarky, and I'm like, I got to stop. I can't do this. Today's not a good day for me to do that. I'm tired. So this is great. Have just Spaceball references in the chat is really nice. Vanessa Martinez says this is the best live stream for Gen X. You know what's weird is every time someone says like a generation, and it's been a theme lately, right? For years, no one cared about what the generations were, and then like it came up a lot again recently, especially in social media. And to be honest with you, I don't know what I'm in, and I don't know what any of the other ones mean. I have to think about it for a long time. I don't know if I think I'm old. I'm 45. So I born in 1979. I'm not 45 yet. I'll be 45 later. But am I Gen X? Is that what it is? I really just don't know. I can never remember. But yeah. So, but that always comes up a lot too. And someone's saying like some generation, it's always about like tech support. Not always, but a lot of times it's about tech support and like how kids today have no idea how things work because they've had technology that just works, like Apple products. But I grew up with like burning CDs and like Winamp and stuff like that. I grew up learning MS-DOS, to copy discs and stuff. And I had 5 1/4 floppies. I'd be like, we are the generation that knows the most about technology. Everyone else has had just things that work. So when things don't work, you have no idea how to problem solve. That's mine. That's my take on it. But maybe that's a Gen X take. I don't know. Steve Zabrowski says, I see her floppy disk is as big as mine. That's the crossover quote I needed to make my day. That's really nice. And Mark Peterson says the video game doesn't work. Did you try blowing in it? Here's the thing that I always did. You had to blow in it to get the cartridge to work, and then if you pushed it in all the way, that wouldn't work. One trick that I found was you had to just push it into the Nintendo enough so that there was a little bit of friction as you pushed the cartridge down. That was the magic trick for me a lot of times. You know. Rich Dyson says, shout out to the LimeWire survivors. I was actually thinking about that today. Do you remember, for me in college, this would have been like from 1997 to 2001. Towards the end of that time period, everyone's computer ran slow because we were all tricked into thinking that if you just downloaded this software that just showed you a ticker of ads all the time, it would make you money, and basically you'd be making money on your computer. And it was basically just spyware and viruses and stuff. Do you remember that? We had to figure out about all of that stuff the hard way, you know. Yeah. Akapen Senpai says, was your first game console the Atari 2600 or NES or something like the N64? My first one was the NES. I had played the different Ataris before, but the first one that my parents bought for me, I was in the 3rd grade. And it was the Nintendo. It was, and I appreciate that you called it NES because it was the Nintendo Entertainment System. It wasn't a Nintendo. Nintendo is an adjective. The Nintendo Entertainment System was the product, you know. I still have no idea how the gun worked for Duck Hunt. I don't understand that technology, you know. Duke BB22, tomorrow's live stream, how to get your Nintendo cartridge to work. I don't have a Nintendo anymore. I wish I still had one. I also don't have a TV that could play them. You know. Jinzo has a running question. Jinzo, thank you for bringing us back to running. Jinzo says, yo, what's up, Kofuzi? What do you think is the most accurate way to track your heart rate? I think for like as far as consumer grade products go, I mean, the most accurate way is EKG, right? But that requires leads and stuff, and you can't really run with that. Can you run with it? Maybe in a lab, but like I don't think that's not what you're asking. But I think a chest strap is the most accurate because it's conducting, you know, whatever that is, the technology, that's the most accurate way to get heart rate from a consumer grade product that's intended for running. Opticals are, for all intents and purposes, for checking your running heart rate is just as good in my opinion. For some people, the wrist will work from your watch. For me, it doesn't. So that's kind of the hierarchy. Yeah. All Heart RC says, we had an 8-track player in our Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. That's amazing. You know what I remember this is the best running live stream to watch if you just want to go take a walk down memory lane. But I remember one of the earlier cars that my parents had. I thought it was magic when I figured out how to set the radio stations, because you had physical buttons that you could press for your radio presets, and to set them, you would pull it out a little bit, and then it would remember that physical location on the actual dial, and then you would pull it out, and then when you hit the different buttons, it would just make the thing go like magically right to the exact correct frequency. That radio was much more fun back then because you felt like you were actually doing something. You know, you were like catching the airwaves. You know what I mean? Same thing with television when it had rabbit ears. You had to like move it a certain way, and then if there was a bunch of you, whoever the youngest kid was had to stand at the TV and hold it because the extra conduction through a human body always made the reception better. You know what I mean? That was a fun time. There was only 6 channels. None of them really worked that well. You know, I mean, it was different. It was different. I don't know. I want to say it was better, but it probably wasn't. Stevie76 says buttons are underrated. You know what I just saw? I thought I saw something saying that like in Europe, they're looking at the Teslas because there's no physical buttons. And like some European Safety Commission is like, there needs to be more buttons for like turning on the hazards and stuff. And I do think buttons are underrated. I love physical buttons. That's why I don't like an Apple Watch. There's not enough physical buttons. That's why I don't like some running watches that I don't like. Well, a big reason is because there's not enough physical buttons. There's some times where I want a physical button, you know. Vanessa Martinez says, I made my little brother the human remote control back in the day. Oh, that was another one too. You know how I think I've told you guys this before. You know how I used to watch TV? We had a 13-inch TV, which wasn't that small at the time. But like I would lay down. You know how like people lay down now, if after a long run they put their legs up to get the blood flow and drain your legs, you know, I would lay like that, but by the TV, and then I would use my feet to turn the dial. It didn't always work. It depends on how much I had to turn it, but I would do that. It would work with volume and stuff. So I would use my feet to change the channel on the TV. Mika Katai says, a Tesla with no buttons and a finished winter don't mix. Is that a big issue? The cold weather? Because my wife is like, I heard that electrical vehicles are not good in the winter. And I'm like, I'm sure that affects the battery some, but I don't know. Is that a real thing that I have to worry about? Or is that like an urban legend? I don't know. And New Betra says it's correct about the European Tesla thing. Euro NCAP will start penalizing cars without buttons for frequently used functions in future ratings. Oh, okay. So it won't ban them, but it won't have like a good safety rating, I guess, or something. Or maybe you need to get a certain kind of rating to be able to sell the car. I don't know, but it makes sense. On a car where you want to be looking up, like muscle memory is pretty important, and knowing where the buttons are is important, you know? Joey Otto says, do you really like or recommend the Garmin chest strap then for heart rate training? Yeah, I mean, I have not been able to find a substantial difference between any of the chest straps. Whether you're buying like a cheaper one off the internet or a name brand one. Not that I'm recommending buying like no name brand ones necessarily, but yeah, the Garmin one. The only thing to watch out with older Garmins is that there used to be a thing where like now like everything's still now everything kind of communicates with Bluetooth, but if you're buying like an old one, just watch out to make sure it can communicate with your watch. Because then there was like Bluetooth and Ant Plus, and then some watches didn't have Bluetooth or didn't have Ant Plus, or I don't know how it goes. But if you're buying anything that's been made recently, it'll work with pretty much any watch, you know. Mika says for finished winters in a Tesla, you get 50% of the range, and no buttons with thick buttons on at negative 35C isn't great. That makes sense to me. Oh yeah. Yeah, you know what? So like on the minivan has like a touch screen on it. Not a great one, but it has a touch screen for like setting the temperature. And no matter how careful I am, you know, you hit the up arrow, and the way the arrows are, it's like a scroll bar. So to hit it up a little bit, it's at the top of the bar, and to go down a little bit, it's at the bottom of the bar. Whenever I try to hit up, if I do it more than one or two times, I'll accidentally hit the top of the scroll bar, and so then it would go as hot as it goes, and I don't usually want that. So I usually there's physical buttons below it, and I'll just use the physical buttons. So given the option, I'll usually pick physical buttons. I don't know. Runner Will says, my EV is fine in the winter, LOL. I don't think you get as cold as negative 35C, though. Well, I mean, you guys get real winter, though. You're in New York. It's a real winter. All right. New Betra says, the top safety pick rating, is a big marketing tool. So it wouldn't look good for, like, Volvo 2 losers. Well, I think it'd be really bad for Volvo 2 losers because that's been their whole thing. That's been their thing for a long time. But Dark Cake says, I have an electric Volvo and it works great in the winter. Yeah, see, you guys are making me want an electric car. Go Running with Oliver says, I wear a Garmin chest strap and it's humbled me. That's funny. I don't know why it's so funny, but I love it, Oliver. Calvin says, like, I don't get how certain cars fail safety regulations, but motorcycles are just good to go with literally no safety features built in. Toyota made a modern Kai style truck and it's not road legal. I don't know what a Kai style truck is. Is that one of those little like tiny trucks with a little bed in the back? SP says, thoughts on using the Mach 6 for a 20 mile long run? I think it'd be great. I think it'd be fine. If there was a lot of work in that 20 mile, if it's like just a consistent pace, I think it'd be great. If you're going to put in a lot of like marathon pace miles or faster in there, which hopefully you're not putting too many faster ones in there for 20 miles total, then I might just take your race shoes out. But if you're doing like mostly easy to like steady pace, like faster than easy miles, I think it'll be great. Great option. Elias Munoz says, I legit still run with a $20 Timex Ironman watch. You know what's been showing up on my Instagram feed lately? Shark watches. Like they're kind of like the was it Timex? They're digital watches with really colorful Velcro bands, and it's got a little shark logo on it, like a shark fin. As soon as it said shark fin, I said, ooh, ha, ha, ha. But in my mind, I said it. But a little shark fin. I never had one of those growing up, but like, I don't know. I just saw that and like, it was like shades of pink and orange. And I was like, oh, this feels familiar. Why does this feel so familiar? And Stevie76 says, if you've got a super old Garmin, you're waiting for an hour for your watch to connect to satellites. Yeah. Do you remember how big a thing that was? Everyone did this with their watches all the time. You would hold your watch up in the air to try and get it to connect to the satellite faster. That like went away. Remember? I almost did it though the other day because I was testing the 165, the Garmin 165, brand new watch. And I was testing it against the Coros Pace 3 and the Garmin 265. The Pace 3 and the 265 picked up the satellite instantly. Like I get out of the car, I hit the thing for the activity on both of the watches, and then they're like ready to go. The 165 took at least 5 times longer. So instead of almost instantly, it took me like 20 seconds. But it was noticeable. And it's not like it was the first time, you know, because I feel like it kind of like remembers where you were and like looks in the same direction. I don't know if it actually learns or not, or has any sort of cached memory in terms of which way to look, but it always feels like it does. But even doing the same run from the same spot, testing it multiple times, the 165 takes a lot longer. Will Willing says, how much time or how many days should you allow for jet lag before a race if flying to Europe? I would say for most people, they don't have a lot of luxury in that. And I think it depends if you're flying from New York versus California. That can make a difference too. But I remember from me going to Tokyo, the first 2 days were great. The next 2 days were not. And then after that, it seemed like manageable. So it took four days for me. In Europe, and have I raced in Europe? I mean, I ran 5Ks and stuff, and I ran a 5K in Malaga. I'm trying to think, what other races have I done in traveling that far? When it's like 6 to 8 hours, it's not as big a deal. It doesn't take me days or multiple. It won't take me 4 days. Like I feel like 2 days would probably be, 2 or 3 days would probably be pretty good. What I've lately been doing is bringing melatonin gummy. I wanted to make sure. I frequently misspeak and say and confuse and switch the words melanin and melatonin. So I have to think about it every time I say, and I'm very tired today, so I have to make sure I said the right one. So I have melatonin gummies. I don't know if that really helps or not, or if it's just a tasty placebo, but I'll try to sleep on the new time zone schedule. Bring a book. Book will almost always put me out anyway, and then get washed up, get nice and warm, melatonin gummy, and then read a book. And then sleeping on the correct schedule is what usually gets me up, adjusted quickly. So, Cosmic Pineapple Michael says, how was the Wave Rebellion Pro 2 today? It was good. I mean, I think I have enough data from today. I ran it for almost 3 hours to kind of put together my review, but kind of like off the cuff thoughts are I've always joked that brands should make the shoes as crazy as they can until they start hurting people's ankles and then dial back. I feel like we're at the dial back point with this Wave Rebellion 2. This is one of the most tricky shoes I've ever had to run in. Like I think it's not a shoe that's not designed for me. Long story short, I wish this foam were in this shape. This foam, the foam in the Wave Rebellion Pro 1 feels a bit firmer and took a while for it to compress a little bit to get to a point where I liked it more. This foam, I don't know if it's a changed shape because there is some changed geometries involved between these two shoes, but it feels like it's a little bit softer and a little bit more bounce to it. So not as harsh of a ride, but it feels like a very tall drop. And depending on like the effort that you're running at, easy efforts, like I felt like there was like a big bulge of the shoe right under my arch, and it was like a sending impact right into the arch every time, and it felt weird. And so I would either try to land further back or more forward. So when I'm running faster in it or putting more effort in, I'm missing that weird rocker point, and it felt nice. I really enjoyed it, but it felt like there was a very tall drop. And anytime there was camber in the road, I felt like I was sliding a little bit. And so like I was trying to run in the middle of the road as much as possible. And then if I slowed down and tried to like run on the heel a little bit, I felt like I was running on like this part of the shoe only and not even touching the forefoot. So it was kind of like there's a lot of weird stuff going on. And by the end of it, and it's a 20-mile run, so your body's going to be tired. Lots of parts of your body are going to be tired. But I felt like this was a big strain on the Achilles at the end of it all. So it's like, if the shoe naturally works for you, then it's really going to be exciting. But for me, it took a lot of effort to try and like get along with it. And so it feels less polished than version 1, but I feel like they're closer to a really excellent shoe. Like Pro 3, I think, is going to nail it. But this one was very hard for me to run in. I do like it a lot, but it's just it's very particular. So there, I think that's pretty much a review. I guess these are all recorded. Maybe I should just make that the review. These are 1-minute reviews for all these shoes. Save myself a lot of time and effort. Davrazak 7103 says, have you ever tried trail running? Greetings from Italy. I have. I've trail run in Italy. Last year I did a hut-to-hut trip, a refugio trip in the Dolomites. That was really fun. This year I'm not reviewing that many trail shoes. One is because I'm training for a spring marathon. I will be doing a trail 50K in May. And then after that, I don't know how much trail running I'll be doing because I'll be getting ready for Berlin in the fall. So this will be a lot less trail running, and I don't love reviewing trail shoes. It gets very contentious. The views are low. Everyone seems to be mad about it. And so I'm just not going to do that many of them this year. But I really do enjoy it. And there's some pretty good trail running in this area. Last October, I came in 3rd in my local 10-mile trail race in the park that's near here. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I do like trail running. Trail running doesn't always like me, but I do enjoy it. All right, Andrew Cho says, hi, I got my Metaspeed Paris today and Endorphin Pro 4 yesterday. I think one of the two is going to be my marathon racing shoe in April. I think those are some pretty good shoe options. I do think that my P.O. Box has received my Endorphin Pro 4. I have to go get it, but I think it's there. So I have to decide if I'm done, because I still have some. I think I still probably will do another workout in the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2, something that's a little faster than the paces I was running today, just to see how that feels. And then we're getting pretty close to London Marathon time, so I don't know if I want to be messing around with a bunch of new shoes. So we'll see. We'll see. Edric Maravilla says, hey, Kufuz, have you ever been to the Philippines? I have not. I've never been. I want to go. If I go to the Philippines, I don't really eat meat, but I probably will end up eating a lot of meat if I go to the Philippines. You can't. I feel like it's hard to avoid. I also would really like to eat Jollibee, like the spaghetti and hot dogs. I would just want to have Jollibee in the Philippines. I know there's Jollibee here, but I want to get it from the source, you know. General's Triangle says, yo, what's going on, Co? So yesterday's box wasn't under embargo? Do share. All right, let's talk about it. All right, so yesterday we had 2 boxes. This is the box that the Wave Rebellion Pro. This is the box that the Wave Rebellion Pro 2 came in. And then also in that box, in that package, was this box too. And it doesn't sound like there's shoes in there, right? So I thought it was clothes. I started opening it, and then it was shoes that I knew they were sending, but that I haven't really seen on the internet yet. So I tried emailing them to see if it was under embargo. I got a response that I didn't quite understand. So I was like, I'm not sure. I need clarification. But I got the clarification later, and I can show them to you now. These shoes are the Wave Rebellion Flash 2, which is very interesting. So I don't really know much about them. I should have done a little bit more research before I came on today, since I knew which shoes they were going to be. But so this shoe has undergone quite a bit of transformation. Is that the right word? So this is the original Wave Rebellion. And it had a beaded foam, which looked very exciting, and then a big wave plate, which was not as exciting. And then very much like an upper off of a Wave Rider. It was an interesting shoe. It was a fast shoe, but it felt very firm, and I attributed that a lot to the very big and prominent wave plate. And then I got very excited about the Wave Rebellion Flash that came out last year. Again, a beaded foam, which looked very promising. I do like this outsole. It's really fun and grippy. But again, another very large wave plate. But like this came out and was a companion shoe to the Wave Rebellion Pro. And so I was like, okay, so Wave Rebellion Pro, we're going wild and crazy. And then Wave Rebellion Flash, okay. You know what I mean? So it wasn't as... and I ultimately thought it was very much like the Wave Rebellion, or too much like the Wave Rebellion for my tastes. This year, the Wave Rebellion Flash 2 gets the NRZ Light foam, which at least I think in the top layer looks to be similar to what we see in the Wave Rebellion Pro 2. This bottom layer looks and feels like EVA. Maybe gives it a little bit more stability. And it has a design that's reminiscent of the Wave Rebellion Pro 2, but it looks like it's also a very big wave plate. But it also adopts a modified but reminiscent design in terms of the back bevel and then the rocker up front. A lot more rubber on this one, just like a standard style of rubber, and full coverage along the outsole of anything that might actually touch the ground. So the upper seems to be a little bit more like what we have in the Pro version, but still daily trainer-ish. So it could hopefully be like, I really want this to be the training companion shoe that I've always wanted the Wave Rebellion to be. I have very high hopes. I think it's beautiful. I love the design. Oh, it smells very plasticky though. Almost as plasticky as the Wave Rebellion Pro 2 did, but not quite as much. But it's very breathable. Yeah. Oh boy. Very breathable. Very thin upper. Very thin tongue. A little bit of padding in the heel, but very solid heel cup. Whereas in the Wave Rebellion Pro 2, super floppy, which I love. So, I'm not sure when I'll be able to test this. Maybe next week after I'm done testing the Wave Rebellion Pro 2. But I kind of feel like I need to test both of these kind of at the same time to see if it is a good training companion before I make the Wave Rebellion Pro 2 video. So, you know, I'm going to let myself get excited for this one. because it looks promising. I'm a little bit concerned about this bottom layer. I'm very concerned about how much wave plate there is, but we'll see. All right. JC wants to know what's the weight. Oh. Let's get the scale out. Okay. Should we weigh all of them? Go through the history of the shoes? All right. We're zeroing up now. Oh, this first one. Also, very solid heel cup in the first Wave Rebellion. 8.8 ounces. Oh, that was a lot. Wave Rebellion Flash. This one was pretty floppy. There was a little bit of a post, but like 8.2 ounces. Ooh, which way is this one gonna go? I don't know if it's gonna get below 8. 8.5 ounces. 242 grams, so it's heavier than last year. Oh boy. A little bit less excited. But yeah. Cosmo Pineapple says 8.5 ounces or so, I think. That was exactly right. Amazing. Calvin says, is that about the same weight as the Boston 12? I don't know. The Boston 12 is over on the other wall. I don't have it near me. So I can't tell right away. New Betra says, I think Murakami runs in Mizuno. Probably not these ones, though. Yeah, what do you think Murakami... Does anyone know what Murakami actually runs in? I bet you he's a Wave Rider guy. If you're running in Mizuno's, you're running Wave Rider. There's one runner, I forget her name. She's very fast. She ran in college. She's not running professionally now, but she's been running marathons. I think she's from Rhode Island, New England-ish area. She runs in Mizuno's, and she's been running. I don't know if she races in Mizuno's, but she does her daily training miles in Mizuno's. Courtney, I want to say. And I'm just like, I think she might be the fastest person running in Mizuno's. Maybe I know that there are like pros and stuff, but like not a lot of people running fast in Mizuno Wave Riders that I know or that I see, you know. So it's been good to see. Sleep Singer says, haha, your face looks so disappointed, Co. Well, I was hoping it'd be under 8, you know, because this Wave Rebellion Pro 2 is, you know, it's not the lightest, but 7.3 ounces is what's coming in at today. You know. Mark Peterson says, is it not ironic that Mizuno has been pushing wave plate technology for a long time, yet we're seemingly the last major brand to come out with a carbon fiber plate race shoe? It is and it isn't, though, I think, Mark, because like the wave plate, it's a little bit about like the springiness and having that rigid thing, that part in the shoe that springs. But I think theirs is more about motion control. And so that's why there's always wings. That's why you could see it, you know, on the side. It's like an H plate, if you think, or I guess a C plate, a C beam, if you want to think about it from like as an architectural member, you know, kind of thing. And also, I think the wave plate is intended for heel strikers. So when you and you're hitting on the heel and you're going through the full, and you're using like all of the shoe, that wave plate is supposed to be designed to help make that transition the smoothest. Whereas carbon fiber plates aren't about that, you know? So it does and it doesn't make sense, but like it is, yes, ironic. Kind of like, I mean, I guess kind of like how like they've been using the speed board since day one, and they almost refused to ever not have a speed board. The Cloud Surfer. It's my one hope. But yet I don't love their carbon plated racer. You know what I mean? TGI Bride says, my friend who got me into running used to basically only run in Wave Riders. He since moved to running in Saucony Speed, so that makes a lot of sense. My first entire marathon in 2010, all Mizunos. It was the Wave Rider, and then whatever the Wave stability shoe was, that shoe really messed me up. That shoe ruined me on stability shoes altogether. It's not that shoe's fault. It's just stability shoes don't agree with me. But like that one really messed me up bad for years. For a long time, I just didn't want to run anymore. But the Wave Rider that I had, it was like yellow like a tennis ball. Man, I loved that. It was probably like neon green. But to me, it was yellow like a tennis ball, and man, I loved that shoe. And Kevin says, aren't carbon fiber plates also motion control related? Controlling the motion of the foam, compression, decompression, not so much side to side. Yes. But I feel like when people say motion control, they're like, they make it so you don't overpronate, and your ankles your arches aren't crashing in, But like, yes, for a lot of shoes, and the way that ASICS has described to me the Sky anyway, is that the plate is more there to keep the foam from going crazy and like smushing in weird, unpredictable ways than it is about like the Victory carbon plate insoles that they put in your spikes, though you like bend it and then let it go and it flies up. It's not about that, at least for the Sky. Maybe it is for the Edge. I don't know. I don't get along with the Edge, but yeah, Josh L says, I'm looking for a Velcro band for the Pace 2. Any ideas where to look? Coro sells a lot of bands, and that'll probably be the first place you should look. That being said, my Pace 3 bands, I don't love. I have the white one, and that thing got dirty after one run, and I don't think it'll get clean. The Amazon's another place that I would look. Kevin Hong says, on the Doctors Are Running podcast, a viewer said they ran 307 in Brooks Ghost and wanted tips for a super shoe Revel Race combo in order to BQ. I think any option would probably help a bunch for them. You know what I think would be a really good shoe? If you like the Brooks Ghost, the Metaspeed Edge, I think is going to be your shoe. I mean, the Hyperion Elite, I think, I don't know, I might recommend the Hyperion Max before the Hyperion Elite. But Hyperion Elite would make a lot of sense. The last 5K I ran, which was the Lublon 5K, actually that wasn't the last. The last one I ran was the Oktoberfest, the Itasca Oktoberfest. But the one before that was a Lublon 5K. Is Greg Guitar here? Was the guy that I ran a lot of the race with, and then totally outkicked me. I pulled away from him at about 2.5 miles, and then about 2 3/4 miles, close to 3 miles, he just blew the doors off me. He ran in Brooks Ghosts. A very old pair of Brooks Ghosts, too. I think I ran in Endorphin Pros. Pro 2s. I think that's what I wore. But yeah. Sean Devlin says, my first marathon was in the 2004 Brooks Addictions. Oof. Yeah, I mean, in 2004, though, that wasn't bad, Brian Lacanelao says, ran my first marathon ever in the Wave Inspire, and I no longer wear stability shoes. I think that's what I ran my first marathon in, too. It was a white, blue, and black pair. And I no longer wear stability shoes. Someone was like, hey, you should probably try reviewing the GT2000. I was like, I can't. I don't really review stability shoes. And he's like, it's very popular. And I'm like, I don't have like it's not a views thing. I can't, they hurt my knees. They mess me up. Cobalt Blue says, I went for a demo run in those Mizunos. They only had men's sizes for the Rebellion Flash 2, so none fit me. Folks that tried the Wave Rebellion Pro 2 said 3 miles was enough for the first run. I think it can be tricky. And I think for some people, what feels like a giant drop on the shoe is going to be very off-putting for a lot of people, SB says, could the Topo Cyclones 2 run a comfortable fun pace marathon? Yeah, I think so. It's not a super tall stack height shoe though. So like if you need support for a longer time on feet, because it's not tall and it doesn't have it's very neutral of a shoe. That might be my only concern for it, but yeah, it'd be a lot of fun because the upper fits really nice too, especially if you're going to be on your feet for longer than normal and your feet might swell a little bit. You'll have plenty of room still. Shannon says, 0 clue for my first marathon shoe in 2001. I think that's just how we all were. No one cared. We didn't care what shoe you ran in. Like, if you could even remember the name or model, that pretty much meant you were a shoe nerd. Everyone else was just like, I don't know. It's an Asics, it's a Nike, whatever, But anyway, Shannon says, zero clue, my first marathon shoe in 2001. Whatever, looked very pretty. Then my second and third marathon were in ultras, then speeds. No wonder my feet were always used to be the first to die in a marathon. But the ultras at least have more room, JC says, my first running shoe was an Asics stability shoe. I had no idea. A lot of my early running shoes were in high school were definitely Asics. I don't know what model they were, whatever they sold at Sports Authority. Remember that store? But yeah, whatever they sold at that store. I think I might have had a few Nikes. My spikes were Nike through high school and college. But I don't think I could afford the Nike. I went to high school and ran track at the time that the Air Maxes came out. And so a lot of the richer kids had those for their running shoes. I never did. I've still never worn an Air Max 90 before. Yana says, I was lucky enough to run my first marathon fairly late into my running journey, so I got to enjoy it in the Nova Blast too. That's a nice one. I like that. Matt Byer says, I like this. I like this little walk down memory lane. Matt Byer says, my one and only marathon run in 2014 was in the Adidas Supernova Glide. Ooh, there we go. I don't think I'm familiar with that model. I don't know what that one is, to be honest with you. JC said first marathon shoe was in the Ultra Taurin, but it wasn't that long ago. So here's the thing. I thought that my understanding is that the Ultra Taurin exists the way it does because of Kara Goucher, because she needs a stability shoe. And so when she signed on with Ultra, she didn't like any of the stability shoes, but she likes the Taurin. I think because it has some stability in it. I didn't know that the Taurin was a partial stability shoe, and that might be why I've never liked it. But if Kara's gone and she's with Brooks now, does the Taurin still have to be there, or will it still be there? Does it go away? Can it just be a taller stack height shoe without the stability elements? Then I would love it. Can you imagine basically I feel like in the Ultra lineup, you've got the Escalante, but I don't feel like that translates as to a road version of the Lone Peak. The Lone Peak is really comfy, but there isn't a road version like it. And that's what I always thought the Taurin was supposed to be. Maybe the Taurin can now just be just take the lugs off of the Lone Peak and boom, Taurin 5.5 or whatever number they're on. I don't know. I actually don't. I don't think I've tested an Ultra shoe in a very long time, now that I think about it. Mark Peterson says, my first 3 marathons were in Ultra Boosts. Woof, never again. Was it Ultra Boost 1.0 though? That's not a bad choice. If you're saying I didn't think your first 3 marathons were in the UB21s, or maybe they were. Then, I've lost a little respect for you. But if it was the Ultra Boost 2.0, then okay, it's fine. I'm just kidding. Elias Munoz says, my first marathon shoes were the Asics Cumulus, because that's my college team got for free. Oh, okay, there we go. Guys, I think that the Cumulus may have peaked at 24. I didn't love the 25. Did I even review? I don't even know if I reviewed it. I will review the 26 just because it's so different. It's got no rubber on in that outsole, which is heresy for a Cumulus, but it's not my favorite. I'll tell you. Me says, are there any shorts you recommend? I like Rabbit quite a bit. I like half tights, but I also like Rabbit's shorts. I also really like Path Project shorts. Those don't have a liner, so you either get running underwear or they have their own running underwear that they sell. But if you don't want a liner, that's a good one. What others? I've been enjoying a lot of 2-in-1s. Bandit makes a great, I think it's a 3-inch 2-in-1 short. I love that one. Craft, their trail shorts are really great. They have 2-in-1s that I really enjoy. There's a lot of good shorts out there right now. But Rabbit and Bandit are kind of my 2 favorite apparel brands right now. Andrew Cho says, I ran my first marathon in the Brooks Glycerin 10. Back then I thought it was the most comfortable shoe ever. It probably was at the time. 10? 11 years ago now? Yeah. Mika says, my first trail marathon was in some Hoka GTX shoes. It was so hot and humid in them that most of the skin of my feet peeled off. Hopefully it was long enough ago that we were all laughing now, but that sounds so miserable. Oh my goodness. Wow. William says, I got outkicked by a guy wearing Crocs in a 5K. We both got sub 20 though, but I'm still sad about it. I feel like it's okay. That's all right. If someone can run sub 20 in Crocs, you know, you lost to a worthy adversary. You know? Alf Dickinson says, debut marathon in New York 2007. Some Asics Rascals. Is that a shoe? A Rascal? Or are you just saying like some Asics shoes that you don't know? I can't tell. I can't tell with the way British people write sometimes in chat and comments. Leona says, I used to run in Kayanos all the time until my daughter gifted me Hokas. There you go. I was just watching Good Morning America. I guess I was watching it. It was on the TV. And they were doing some sort of like get fit for spring kind of thing. And they had a pair of Hokas. I don't know if they were Arahis or Gaviotas or one of the Hoka like stability ones. And it made me think like, I wonder how much Hoka pays. They didn't even mention Hoka in the spot, but there was like a yoga mat, some Hokas, I think a beach towel. I don't know. There was just like random like fitnessy outdoors stuff. And not outdoors like hiking, but like just being outside stuff. I'm like, I bet you Hoka paid a lot of money to be product placed like that. And it bothers the heck out of me that like Today Show or like Good Morning America, when they do any of those segments where they just show you a bunch of products, like they don't have to disclose like, hey, this brand paid a whole bunch of money for us to talk about it today. Runner Will says, my first shoes was the Clifton 3. Everything else before that was just everyday wear shoes. Okay. Was the Clifton 3 a good one? I think I started running in the Clifton 5. The 5 might have been the first one for me. I remember Clifton 3 time though, that might have been the dark times for the Clifton. Was it? Did you like them? Well, you have to let me know. Lala P says, my first shoes were from Big 5. I'm not familiar with Big 5. He said, there were some bulky Saucony. I remember in high school, New Balance trail shoes, wearing them casually was like the it thing to do. And I never had New Balance trail shoes. But that was like super popular. They were gray. Kind of like what's popular now, I guess. But man, like all the cool kids had them. They wore New Balance trail shoes during the day and then the Air Max 90s at practice. I didn't have either of those. Luis says, when I started running, I only had basketball shoes. Air Max was my first training shoe. Everyone starts somewhere, you know what I mean? So like I always say, the best running shoes to start running in is the ones you got right now. Whatever shoes that is. It could be boots, I don't care, you know? Matt Anderson says, my first fast shoe was the Nike Zoom Fly 3. I was blown away, and my running friends were also raving about it. I liked that one. It was heavy, but I liked that one. That was I think that was the last Zoom Fly I tested, though. Philip Bourne says, man, this is fun. I like this. Is this interesting for people listening? Oh, hopefully it is. My first shoe was also some Asics Gel Cumulus Stability shoe. Got fitted in a store. Absolutely hated it. There was a time, I think it was the 2010s, right? Maybe before that a little bit, but like right around there, like if you went to a running store, you got a stability shoe. Like there's no doubt about it. They might have also let you buy another shoe, but there was a time, dark times, where everyone left with a stability shoe. You could not get it, you know? Matt Byer says, funny how yesterday was all Midwest talk and today is trips down memory lane. See, I feel like, that's what's great. We find a theme every episode. I like that. That's nice. Matthias says, I remember Oshman's and Sports Chalet for my SoCal peeps. Interesting. I'm not familiar with either of those, but I'm not from SoCal. Scott says, I thought the Paradigm was a stability shoe. I know that Paradigm is like a full, right? That's a full stability shoe, right? Oh, okay. Cosmo Mike says, I thought the Ultra Paradigm was a Kara shoe. They nicknamed it Karadigm. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But I've heard her talk about, I haven't had a conversation with her about the Torin, but I've heard her talk elsewhere about the Torin. So that's why I got confused. Or maybe I'm just misremembering. I don't know. But either way, I know some of you love the Torin the way it is. I want it to change. But that's just me. Matt says, I worked in a running store in those dark times where everyone got a stability shoe. Dark times. Matt, this was your fault. You are complicit. I don't know. Also, a very popular refrain during those dark times, we don't choose running shoes by color. Oh man, I hated that. Just the way they made you feel bad by saying that to you. I hate that. That drove me crazy. Whew. All right. That was cathartic. Thank you, guys, for letting me get that off my chest. All right. Alf Dickinson said they weren't an ASICS rascal. A rascal means naughty or up to no good. I think they were from the age of ugly instability, but they did get me through, and I was injured from soccer. Well, so it was the shoe you needed at the time you needed it, though. Maybe a rascal, but in a good way then. Maybe, Alf, maybe. Mark says, Oshman's had a huge store at the Mall of America when I was a kid. So fun to go play with all the gear inside a store. Good memories. I was recently, maybe not that recently. I was at the Mall of America maybe a couple of years ago. They wouldn't let me take my GoPro. There's a zip line thing that you can ride. It takes you over like video games or something like that. But there's a zip line. There's a harness and it goes up behind you and then they shove you and then you ride this thing all the way around. And I wanted to take my GoPro, they wouldn't let me. But I still went and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Matt Grant says, I was 100% not complicit with the dark times and stability shoes, which made me an uncomfortable employee at times. Okay, well, there you go. Matt fighting the good fight from the 2010s on. Amazing. That must have been really hard because everything was like visible technology. I mean, everything now is still visible technology and trademarked everything. But then it really was, wave plates, Trustic systems, things like that. Things you could look at, touch, and then make noises with. Like this wave plate right here. I don't know if this is still called a wave plate. It's just called a Mizuno Wave. But yeah. You know what? Here's the thing I need to figure out. I was looking really closely at the wave plate or whatever that's in this Wave Rebellion Pro 2. It doesn't look like, I don't know if I can even show it to you well, but it doesn't look like carbon to me. It just looks like plastic. So I don't know if I have a spec sheet for that shoe or this shoe, the Wave Rebellion Flash 2. So I got to figure some of that out. Lucas Filgueira says, in Brazil, Mizuno was known as the best brand in the running world, in the running market. My father only runs in Mizuno still. Sad that they lost a lot in his recent times. Yeah, I feel like they have. They are one of the brands that we're really excellent at what we do and we're not going to chase trends. And then it was like, oh, that's not a trend. That's what people want. The whole industry has shifted. And then they were slow to shift. There's a blueprint to come back from that. Hopefully they can follow that or figure out their own way back. I feel like the Wave Rebellion Pro series is really making a lot of strides in that. No pun intended on that one. Hopefully they're on their way back. I think there's a way you could do it without completely alienating your core audience that still loves what you're doing, but while bringing back people who may have enjoyed it a lot in the past. I really enjoyed the Wave Rider. It was that stability shoe that messed me up, you know? But, yeah. Luna says, honestly, I think stability shoes give me knee pain. Tried the Kayanos last year again and had pain until I switched out of them. It gives me knee pain every time, you know? Calvin Hong says, back then, gait analysis was how much stability do you want? A lot or even more? Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. It was state of the art at the time. That's what people thought. We all thought. Everyone thought that, except for Matt, who was ahead of the times. But I thought that. I bought into it, you know? But, yeah, it was hard. Hard times. Seatown fan says, the best sporting store I've been to recently is Shields in Colorado Springs. I don't think I've ever been to a Shields. Interesting. Matt says, did anyone else get snow stuffed into those wave plate openings? Oh, those ones. Oh, yeah. You know, no one ever worried about dog poop with those wave shoes. All right. I could keep doing this forever, but I think it's time to go for today, guys. We've been going for over an hour already. I had a lot of fun. I'll be putting some miles into all of these shoes. Well, not these two shoes. I'm done testing those. But the Wave Rebellion Pro 2 and the Wave Rebellion Flash 2, exciting options. Mizuno's making moves. They're making moves, right? So like that's always a promising thing. It's exciting. But the videos won't be out for a little while. But if you guys have any questions, I'm always happy to talk about shoes. And tomorrow there won't be a video because we just had one today on the Metaspeed Edge versus Metaspeed Sky. Hopefully it's not too controversial. But go check it out. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. Until then, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks. Bye.